You guys enjoyed our first list of warnings so much that we decided to do some digging and find 10 more celebrities who don't like these people. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 celebrities who tried to warn us about the Smith family, Part 2. Number 10. Adam Sandler. Is it really a surprise that Adam Sandler was publicly supportive of his acting buddy Chris Rock after the whole Oscars incident? Following the ceremony, Adam shared a promotional image from Rock's world tour from 2022, captioning, "Can't wait for this." They worked together for years, first meeting on the set of Saturday Night Live in the early 90s, and they starred in so many movies together, from Grown Ups to The Longest Yard to You Don't Mess with the Zohan. Yeah, remember that movie? I wish I didn't. Of course, Adam has never actually gone on camera and said that this lady is a menace, but he has certainly implied it. His post with Rock's poster was only days after the Oscars incident. Will, of course, posted an apology video regarding the incident that a lot of people felt was forced and didn't really help the situation. Adam and Kris have more than likely been roasting the Smith family over and over again in the privacy of their own homes. Number 9. Sheree Zampino. Will Smith's ex-wife, Sheree Zampino, has still been fairly involved in the lives of the Smith family. While herself and Jada supposedly get along now, it took a long time to get to where they are. During an episode of Red Table Talk, a show whose name literally raises my blood pressure, Smith and her co-hosts were joined by Zampino to have an open conversation about how their relationship had evolved over the years. She admitted that when first dating Will, she really had to fake it till she made it. Trying to have a blended family when you really don't like the other person is Jada's personal nightmare. She said it was very difficult to find common ground. Jada claimed that she wasn't mature enough at the time, and she did not properly understand the dynamics of marriage. Marrying Will meant that Sheree was going to be coming along as part of the package. Sometimes Jada was made to watch the little ones and actually shared one particularly odd story about lashing out at Sheree one day when her son Trey misbehaved at her house, berating the young boy for being a little bit too rowdy for Jada's liking. Apparently, Zampino also did not have much of a sense of boundaries, so Jada told a few stories of times when she would just come into the house and make herself comfortable. Number 8. Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie is not just the woman who famously portrayed the live-action version of Betty Rubble in the Flintstones from 1994. No. She is also the woman who voiced Turk in the Disney classic Tarzan. Now that you know who she is, let's talk about the Smith family for a sec. Following the Oscars, she tweeted that she was very proud of Chris Rock for not obliterating Will Smith when he decided to lay his hands on the comedian. Rosie claimed that if Chris wanted to, he could eviscerate Will Smith any day of the week, but instead he decided to walk away. She said, "Bravo," and called Will Smith a sad, toxic, narcissistic madman. She continued to share her hate for Will by retweeting several of her celebrity friends, and one of her main grievances with the moment was the fact that the Academy literally stood by and did nothing. No one came to the stage to make sure that Chris was okay, nobody stopped Will as he was making his way towards the stage, and the Academy's only move following the night was a 10-year temporary ban from the Oscars. How about a charge and some community service, eh? Several stars from the evening were encouraging Chris to process charges, but he ultimately decided against it, probably feeling that there wasn't a need to get lawyers involved. Number 7. Tom Segura. Tom Segura was one of the many celebrities who started bashing Will Smith after he ruined the Oscars in 2022, and I'm not gonna repeat what that situation was, okay? You gotta watch part 1 if you don't know what happened, and then come back. Tom delivered a fiery take on the infamous moment, and I wish I could quote everything he said because it is just so good. So I'm gonna paraphrase it as best as I can. Addressing Will Smith directly, he said, "Let me tell you this. The idea that his entitled rear end thinks that because his feelings are hurt, he gets to hurt one of the all-time greats, calling Will a spineless coward that was now on Hollywood's blacklist." Later on, while diving deeper into the situation on the Pat McAfee show, he explained that it was a clear move of entitlement. Will Smith in the moment decided, yeah, you know what, I want to get out of my chair and strike Chris Rock in the face. It was like something out of a horror movie. This was something that was only discussed behind closed doors, but had never really happened live on stage, only for the audience to respond with muffles and later on applause going about the night like nothing happened. He said that Will probably thought there'd be like a fun little skit that would come out of the incident, but instead, he just caught a man off guard while he was trying to do his job. Number 6. Jim Carrey. Now, when you see Jim's face, one of two emotions comes to mind: joy and confusion. Growing up, Jim was my idol. This dude was in every movie that I loved. Ace Ventura, The Mask, and yes, Bruce Almighty, okay? I was 8 years old and that guy made the moon bigger. That was cool. But as time progressed, he got more and more introspective. These days, Jim's either sharing his thoughts with a crowd, painting in his studio, or filming the latest Sonic movie. In 2022, he was on Twitter voicing his opinions on Will Smith. Jim, like many celebrities, stood against Will, only he used some very strong language that I really wish I could talk about, but I can't. But the one thing that I can say is that Jim Carrey was quoted as saying that he was sickened, not only by the actions of Will Smith, but by Hollywood celebrities who still gave him a standing ovation for his win as Best Actor. He said that Hollywood is just spineless en masse, and the moment felt like a very clear indication that Jim was no longer in the cool club. He continued to say that he believed Will should have been escorted out of the building the moment that his hand touched Chris Rock's face. There are security guards all over the place on the night of the Oscars, but because it was Will Smith walking on stage and not some rando, they decided that he was good to go. Jim claimed that Chris not pressing charges was ridiculous. If it had been him, he would have announced the morning after that he was suing Will for $200 million because that footage will exist forever. An insult that will last several lifetimes, well past either of their end dates. If Will wanted to yell from his chair or voice his pain somewhere else, that's fine. But what was not fine was walking up on stage in frustration and anger. Number 5, Wanda Sykes. During the Oscars in 2022, Chris Rock was introduced to the stage by two comedy legends, Wanda Sykes and Regina Hall. Wanda in particular remembers having to rush back to her trailer, but during that brief moment that she was gone, the incident went down. As she got back to the stage, Will Smith was already making his way back to his chair. When Wanda was told what had happened, she was devastated. She claimed that in the moment she felt physically ill and still is a bit shaken from the experience to this day. Wanda has acknowledged that Will had released an apology video, but that no one had apologized to herself or her fellow presenters. Wanda reminded Will that he was invited into her house while she was on stage, and while everyone else was on stage and tasked with presenting, Will was in their domain. He violated the rules and their trust when he walked up to Chris Rock. In fact, she revealed that she ran into Chris Rock backstage and he apologized to her. For like what? He said it was supposed to be her night, but that it now became about Will and Chris. Wanda was heartbroken when Chris felt like he had to say something when it wasn't even his fault in the slightest. Unfortunately, they were right, as when you look up the Oscars in 2022, there are much more articles about the two men rather than the three women. Number 4, Judd Apatow. Judd is a well-known director from some solid movies. This dude tends to be pretty good at his job. Following the Oscars incident, he released a series of tweets, one of which was a direct warning to Amy Schumer regarding Will and his slap, claiming it to be as soft as his raps. Judd Apatow tweeted that he believed if Will had put enough force behind his hand, that he might have actually ended Chris Rock's life, just judo chopping his head clean off. In a now deleted post, he continued to remind audiences that Will has heard many roasts over the years, probably millions of jokes about himself and his wife. They are freshmen in the world of comedy, and this guy needs to learn how to control his rage. If something that small could set him off, that's a problem. Judd is a man who is well known for having the ability to blend comedy and tragedy into one coherent story, but this incident hurt him on a personal level, and there was nothing that would stop him from trying to warn the rest of the world. Number 3, Howard Stern. Howard has always taken the opportunity to share his opinions every second of every day. When the Oscars audience clapped for Will rather than drowning him with a barrage of boos, Howard let his audience know that he was furious. The furiosity actually came from a fairly decent place. Following the Oscar situation, something similar happened to comedian Dave Chappelle, where he was on stage and rushed by a fan during his set. Dave was in the middle of a joke when an audience member ran towards the stage. Thankfully, they were taken out by security before anything too dangerous went down, but still. However, he continued and called Will Smith several mean words for being a major part of influencing the situation. There have been a handful of similar situations since, but Howard blames Will Smith for everything, creating a sense of concern for anyone who steps on a stage from here on out. Number 2, Olivia Jade. For those of you who may not know, Olivia is the daughter of Lori Loughlin from Full House, who was the lady who tried to bribe Olivia's way into school, but remember, she got caught and she was exposed. Following the exposing, Olivia appeared on Red Table Talk, Jada's terrible talk show that brings nothing but negativity into the world, and the conversation went horribly. Right off the bat, it was clear that Jada's mother did not want Olivia onto the show, complaining that she was the child of two people who paid $500,000 to get their kid into school, illegally through the athletic department to be specific. But it was also revealed that Olivia had reached out to the show, choosing it to be where she revealed her side of the situation. Miss Banfield Norris claimed that it was the epitome of white privilege, and that she chose to come on a show led by 3 women of color, continuing to say that Olivia would be fine. But by the end of the conversation, Olivia had gotten the crew on her side and things ended well. She revealed that she hadn't spoken to her parents since they were arrested. And at number 1, Kris Jenner. A decade ago, Kylie Jenner and Jaden Smith were touting a very public friendship in the press. Behind the scenes, it's believed that they dated for a little while, but photos that the Daily Mail published of Jaden and Jenner emerged from a dark movie theater helped to seal their relationship narrative. In the viral photos, the stars walked closely as Jaden seemingly and unknowingly sported Jenner's foundation. Of course, bad lighting could have been the cause for the awkward pictures, but the logistics suggest that a very romantic movie date went down. Now, by 2019, Jordyn Woods and Kylie Jenner were total BFFs, even though the Smiths family were basically her surrogates thanks to her late father's staff job on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Unfortunately, Jenner and Woods' friendship came crashing down in February of that year after Woods was accused of kissing Kristen Thompson, Khloe Kardashian's on and off again man friend who had recently fathered her first child. Needless to say, the news inspired worldwide hysteria, on social media at least, and while the world eventually got back to normal, Woods' relationship with the Kardashian family, especially Kylie and Khloe, was effectively done. But before Woods had the chance to regain confidence with the Kardashians, Jada Pinkett Smith made a noteworthy move on her social medias when she unfollowed the entire Kardashian family, except for Kylie Jenner, weeks after a Red Table Talk episode aired. What happened on that episode? Guess you'll have to find out in the next entry. And those are 10 more celebrities who tried to warn us about the Smith family. Do you guys want to see a part 3? Well, let us know in the comments below and share this video so we can get that going. Thank you for stopping by on the screen today, and we'll see you next time.